Good now, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. My name is Evan, and I am so glad that you are here today. Whether you're joining us live on TikTok or you're catching up on YouTube, thank you so much for giving us your most valuable asset, your attention. Let us know where you are, where you're tuning in from, who you are, what you're doing. Put it in a comment, and let's get started. We've got a great show today. We're bringing a friend on to contribute some perspective on all things markets, our friend William. And we're going to talk a little more about the Bitcoin halving today, because where is the time gone? It's already upon us. Expected to happen April 19th. We want to talk about what it is, why it matters, how you can prepare for it, and of course, answer your crypto questions. So leave them in the chat. If you haven't already, be sure to sign up for the newsletter. It's totally free. It's got the best bullet points from our show condensed into one single message that you get one time a week right to your inbox. All the links highlighted for you, everything there. And we love you. We want you to use your time well. So, not everybody can tune into a show 4 days a week. The newsletter is for you. Also, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know this, but if you're not watching on YouTube, we've got a lot of great crypto tutorials, resources, walkthroughs, and we're working on even more. So please be sure to check that out at YouTube. Faceless_labs is the URL. YouTube.com/faceless_labs. And so, with that, there's Alex. And welcome to the morning. How you doing, man?
What's up, dude? Doing well?
Man, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. I told everybody we'd be joined by our new friend William today. We'd talk a little about the halving. I gave him all the spiel, but now we're just hanging out. Hey, William, what's going on, man? Come on up, brother.
I am a little bit back and forth the next couple minutes, finishing cooking a giant pot of breakfast, and I underestimated how much time it was going to take to finish. So it's still on the stove. But
still on the stove. Nothing like breakfast still on the stove. I completely understand. Go do what you got to do. I was caballing before I got on the call. As you know, I've been eliminated twice from Crypto the Game, and everybody going into the end game is trying to coordinate, and everybody is doing it all kinds of weird ways. And I think I'm going to have to come back in and help the people beat the whales. William, you joined by tapping the little button that should be right down here. I can't quite point to it because my hand will disappear. It looks request or multi-guest, it may say.
Yeah, multi-guest. Like two little people next to each other.
Just looks like they're hugging. In which case,
One creepily standing slightly behind the shoulder of the
yeah,
other one.
right. Yeah, it's wild. Here comes William. Great. William, welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Did you miss the button that said turn my camera on?
Definitely 100%.
No fret, no sweat. Tap your icon on the screen.
Sometimes I feel like my 80-year-old father trying to do something new on TikTok. I'm just like, wait, I don't know. How do I do this?
I hear it's your first time streaming live, so, we'll be gentle.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I need it.
You're among friends. Evan and I always say that we own a tech company and we routinely struggle with basic things like TikTok Live and Google Meet. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I've worked in tech for 8-9 years now, and yeah, it's the same thing.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I want to give you a second to introduce yourself to folks on our platform who might not know who you are, and I'd like to get to know you better too. And we already have questions rolling in. Brett, I see your question, and we'll definitely get to it. This will be a great show to get lots of different perspectives on all things crypto. So, William, do you prefer Will, William, Willie, Billy Boy? What do you like?
I actually did say Billy Boy.
Billy Boy. No, Will's good. Will's good. Quick little intro on me, guys. So I've been a crypto investor since 2017. I've been making content, spreading crypto education, just trying to help people get information out there. Crypto space can be confusing, so just trying to help be one of the people, guide people to figure out how to do their own research on coins to invest in. And I've been making content since 2020. Before that, I have a tech history in the AI machine learning space. I was just on the sales side, but I've worked with some of the actual #1 ranked data scientists in the world in quite a few fields. And also with Morgan Stanley. So interesting kind of like AI to finance kind of jump. And yeah, I live in Boston. Go Sox. I hate the Yankees. There you go. There's my intro.
Oh my gosh. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here. I was a Yankees fan when I was a young man, but I'm not hardcore in the bull
That's
run.
good. I was about to leave.
Yeah,
I,
it's okay.
I was briefly in high school because I lived upstate for 1 year, my freshman year, and then I realized I don't really care. So if I had to pick one, it would probably be the Tigers for whatever that's worth. But I did live in Boston for a year and a half. Well, I was stationed in Boston, so I got to spend a couple months there.
Okay. Station. So what branch of the military?
Coast Guard. So I was.
Okay. Yeah, we got a good Coast Guard base. My family was Air Force.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I was born out in Denver near the Air Force Base in Colorado Springs.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did. I did like a year and a half on one of the 270s in Boston.
Nice, dude. Well, pretty good place to be stationed.
It was not bad. My only regret is I didn't get to spend more time there. My wife and I always said that we were not a big fan of cities in general, but if we had to pick one, it would be Boston with a bullet. It was a.
I do like Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Dude. You can come here. The city's clean. I just wish the bars and everything stayed open later. But like, you got a bunch of green space. Everybody's an asshole, but in a fun way, you know.
Yeah.
If you have like the thick enough skin to deal with the insults, then you get to like the soft center of New Englanders.
Yeah.
I will never forget the moment I realized the like level of attitude in Boston. I was stuck in traffic in the North End, and I was behind an ambulance that was actively loading someone into the back, and there was one car between me and the ambulance, and that guy honked at the ambulance more than once.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That fits. That jives.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
So, William, maybe you want to field this first question. It can be your your introduction to the show.
We gotta get the jawline actually on camera here, because I mean, otherwise, what are we really doing here?
You want a close up?
Well, I'm just. So there should be a camera button down below there.
Close we are on this.
Put that face on the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to spotlight you for this so everybody can see it in all its glory. The Rise Up Morning Show now with 90% more jawline. Thank you for joining us, William. So Brett it has a question I think a lot of people have, and I'm going to try and rephrase it for you, Brett. Let me know if I'm off with this. That obviously everything goes up in a bull run, but it seems like different sectors of crypto, different types of tokens and coins, just like different types of assets in other places, go up and down at different times. Is there a particular trend? Do we have data to support that this or that sector of is it a Bitcoin bull run? Is it an altcoin bull run? Some people refer to meme coin season. What is it? How do I know? Is there like a thermometer that you use to check the temperature on that kind of thing? And how would you classify it, William?
Yeah, so let's try to break it down from like high level to lower level. So high level, starting with how do you kind of figure out if you're going into an altcoin season, right? Where altcoins are going to pump much harder than Bitcoin will, kind of across the board, right? That's the time where everybody's their happiest, right? And that happens when the Bitcoin dominance falls. So if you want to be able to take a look at Bitcoin dominance, there are a number of different sites you can go to. I go to tradingview.com, and the chart you're going to look up is BTC period D. That's the Bitcoin dominance chart. And what it shows you is it shows you the total percentage of the total market cap of crypto that just sits in Bitcoin. And so when you're in a bull run, and this always happens, always, because nothing has to happen again, right? But when Bitcoin's in a bull run post-halving and we're in that irrational time of the market and Bitcoin's exploding, the total market cap is exploding faster. That's the time where Bitcoin dominance actually starts to fall, even though the price of Bitcoin is going up. And the reason why is because more money proportionately is falling into the altcoins than into Bitcoin. So even if Bitcoin's price is going up, the Bitcoin dominance is falling. That is the perfect scenario for the major altcoin season that everybody dreams about, that everybody thinks about, where people make the boku, tons of money, right? But in order to make that tons of money, you have to pick up your coins in the accumulation phase that happens before the halving. And then you need to be patient. That altcoin season typically doesn't come till about a year or so, maybe 6 months to 12 months after the halving happens, right? So that's the first step of how you find out when an altcoin season happens. Take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. To Deciding trends, I mean, it can depend. Like in 2023, we had the trend of Solana being the hottest chain. And then as a result, Solana altcoins erupted because money was flooding into that ecosystem. And then that created the trend of Solana altcoins specifically, largely meme coins, Solana AI coins erupting. And the first step there was being like, okay, we saw a ton of money flow into Solana. The TVL, the total value locked on Solana, was exploding. And so that's the first sign of, okay, there's a trend here specifically in Solana. Follow the money. And then throughout 2023, we had coins like AI coins like Render and BitTensor do really, really well. And so you pair those two trends together and go, cool, I need to find Solana AI coins. And what you can do is you can go on a site called DApp Radar, and you can start to find altcoins that are actually genuinely being used, that have people creating wallets for them, that have people actually using them. And you can gauge that usage. And you're like, cool, if people are using this and money's in the ecosystem, money should flow into this. This is what you would call good fundamentals for crypto. I'm doing severe air quotes around good fundamentals for cryptos because most of them are total garbage. And I say that as someone who loves crypto. And that can give you a good idea as to which coins are going to pump the hardest, right? So that's that. And then the last thing I would say is for looking at trends genuinely, like generally, you can go on like a CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko and go to the categories of coins, and they'll have all the trends listed, whether it's real world assets, gaming, layer ones, layer twos, what have you. And you can start to take a look at which coins are pumping the hardest. But what you want to do is you want to switch that site instead of from the dollar valuation to the Bitcoin valuation, because you want to find the coins that aren't just pumping. You want to find the coins that are pumping harder than Bitcoin. Those are the ones that have the most strength in the market. And if you can find a trend that has a lot of coins that are doing that are beating Bitcoin, that is a trend that is hot. That is a trend that is something you want to do more research in than others. And those are some of the coins where you're going to find the best gems or the ones you want to add to your portfolio.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the thoughtful answer. And already too, we've got a bunch of other questions. I wanted to say really quickly to somebody who requested, I saw you requested and then you popped back down. It looked like it might have been a crypto content creator, but it wasn't someone we knew. Alex and I really want to make the Rise Up Morning Show a place that everybody can come and hear great content. We want to make it inclusive. We don't just want it to be a bunch of white guys with jawlines and beards on stage. But we've learned the hard way that we really have to curate our panel by people that we know personally. So if you're here for the first time and you're requesting, thank you so much. But please spend some time in the chats or send us a message. We would really appreciate it if we could just get to know you a little bit first so that we can protect our audience. That is our most important asset is our reputation. And so I know you understand that. Thank you so much. Please stick around if you do want to request, because we'd like that. Alex and I, would love to have a bunch of friends who could just come and do the show so we could go walk our dogs and take a vacation sometime. Somebody asked another question, and I want to touch on it, and then I want to pass it around to you guys about, is November a good time to sell? And we get this question a lot, where somebody asks, like, I have this much, how much profit should I take? The halving is coming up, should I sell? If X, then Y question. And my take on this, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but generally it seems like, because no one's got a crystal ball, this is much less a, is it a good time to sell question. The question is it a good time for me to buy or sell? There are indicators like William was just talking about that will let you know where activity is, but nobody knows what's going to happen in November, let alone tomorrow. I find that if I'm asking, should I sell? That's an indicator I need to pay attention to that I might be maybe overexposed or over leveraged if I am concerned about the money. But what do you guys think? That was the question, is should I sell in November? Do you have other takes on it?
Just that exactly what you said, right? That's not something that one of us can tell you that's, going to be the right answer for you, because there's a lot of contributing factors that we just simply don't know about your situation. I did jot down like a little, just because I wanted to cover it today, like a little historical snapshot of each halving, what the price was right before, right after, and then like later in the year, because typically in this young industry, we've seen, low and volatility kind of around the price of Bitcoin in and around the halving, and then it's sort of like, chops around a little bit, and then later in the year, I assume that's why November was the ask, because I think historically that pump has happened around the month of November. However, things change, and I'm certainly not someone who's going to say like, oh yeah, for sure, we saw X and Y happen. We saw an ETF approval or multiple. We saw a new all-time high before the halving happened. That means that it's going to change by whatever. I just simply don't know. I'm super curious because, we are adding data to the historical chart right now that we will reference for years and years to come, which I think is interesting. But, couldn't say. All depends on how bad you need the money, I guess.
Very true. And I was going to ask the follow-up question of like, okay, well, why did this person who asked the question, if you could let us know and confirm, like, why November? But Alex, if that's the reason, I have an interesting bit of data that I found on the chart. So if you measure how fast Bitcoin has gone from the bottom of any bear market that it's ever had to when it makes a new all-time high from, the past top of the past bull cycle, because of the ETFs, we did that before the halving this year. And I was like, I wonder how much faster we've done that proportionally to the other cycles. We did it 36% faster this cycle because the ETFs supercharged us. That's what enabled us to get to a new all-time high before the halving. So I mentioned that because if you're like, oh, hey, should I sell ahead of, the big pump that Bitcoin gets post-halving, because it does take time for the effects of the halving to be felt in the market and to see that reflected on the price chart, you might want to say to yourself, oh, hey, if the ETFs are moving the market 36% faster, if I want to time up or create my initial selling strategy around when that post-halving pump's going to happen, maybe it will also happen 36% sooner than that typical 6-month-ish time frame going into November, right? So that's something you may want to take a look at when it comes to your selling strategy. And like I've created my selling strategy around the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, which means that we shouldn't have a top until June of 2025 to December of 2025, sometime in that range, a 6-month window. But again, the ETFs have changed everything. A lot of our models that I've been using have totally broken. So that's my initial strategy, but I'm just like sitting on edge. Like,
well,
okay.
And that's something we've talked about a lot, is that there's a lot of unprecedented stuff happening right now.
Yeah, 100%. And then we just had the spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs approved in Hong Kong. Well, approved in Hong Kong. So, we'll see what kind of numbers Asia is able to do on the ETFs too. If it's anything close to even just like Fidelity's numbers with the ETFs, it'd be a really great thing for the markets. And then maybe this dip that we have right now during the halving, it's going to be far shorter. Maybe it won't last as long. Maybe we accelerate even faster than 36%, right? There's so many things that are happening. And then at the end of the year, we have FASB accounting rules changing, so it becomes more advantageous for companies to hold Bitcoin on the back. There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff that's breaking our models in a good way.
So this is interesting. I've never seen it all written down quite like this before, but just to throw this kind of out into the pile for us to ponder. So starting from halving number 1 onward, let's see, first one was in and around, was it November 28th, 2012. The price before was about $10. Rip.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah.
Within 1 month of the halving, the price rose to about $13.50. So not an inconsiderable pump given the price at the time. However, long term, so this is now within a year following the halving, we touched 1,200, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to 2016, July 9th was the second halving. The price right before, 583. So over those, through that 4-year period, that 3.5-year period between that high following the first one at 1,200, cut it roughly in half. So 50% pullback. Didn't see a significant jump immediately after, but touched about $600 a month later. So again, kind of that same exact pattern as the first one, sideways, maybe a little bit up, holding, but not really doing anything super noteworthy. And then longer term, within the next year, over the next year, touched $19,000 by July of 2017. Obviously, significant correction followed after that. That's about when we went back down. I think we touched 3, or we were just above or just under 3,000.
I think it was 33 or 3,800.
Okay, yeah, something like that. That was what a time to be alive. That was buying Ethereum at low 80s, which was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward again one more time to May 11th, 2020, the third halving. Price before $6,900. About a month later, we almost touched 10,000, 9,850, and then the all-time high was reached then by March of the following year. I don't know why it wrote it down as March of the following year, even though the all-time high was certainly not hit in March. But 67,549, followed by where we are now, new all-time high being set very recently at, I don't even know off the top of my head what the final number was, like 73 and change, I think.
Yep.
So to summarize it for the people who aren't playing along with a whiteboard at home, on average, Bitcoin rose 64% in the few months leading up to the halving, and then several 100% in the 6 months following. Coinbase listed at 348%. So generally, we see a little up, halving happens, and then a bigger up.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean when I say, historically, that's not very much. That's 3 instances of a thing happening that had an effect on price. And it is true that, they are similar in structure every single time. However, the one thing that I would love to do, this is a little more involved, and William, maybe you know a little bit more off the top of your head than I do, about the other contributing factors that were the ETFs of those years that came through, because there was like something momentous. The idea that the narrative has changed is not new, right? We were saying the same thing last cycle about institutional interest being a thing that had significantly changed the narrative, and the time before that, it was starting to get listed in and around a couple trading platforms like Robinhood and stuff like that. That was changing the narrative, etc. But it'll be interesting to see how different this is, just because we now have price data on the chart of a dramatic shift in cycle structure, which I think is notable for the first time.
And you've got another really good point here in the comments from Scott that there were a lot less cryptocurrencies to buy then, so more attention went to Bitcoin. And I would add that people generally, though they're still quite unfamiliar, people generally just knew less about how to access cryptocurrency, what to do with it. They trusted it less. And of course, we don't have literacy at a broad scale. But like you said, William, most of it is not worth your time or attention. So what do you think? Are there any indicators that were big, like the ETFs are this time, big factors that confabulated things that made people go, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
I would say, at least I can talk to, I'll talk to 2017 first. There was less that people knew about, like publicly, just because fewer and fewer people knew about crypto. And there wasn't really I would say a big, like, I'm going to call it like a macro event, right? It was more so internal things that drove crypto in 2017. What I mean by that is you had the halving. Everyone knew the halving happened. Everyone knew that was an event to trade, and you supply crunch, yada, 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 right? Where the inflation goes down. It's not a supply crunch. But in 2017, the big thing that really drove the markets, you want to look at liquidity generating events. And in 2017, we had ICOs. ICOs were the hottest thing in the space. And ICOs, initial coin offerings, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, and basically it was a way to raise capital publicly for altcoins launching on Ethereum. And it was the single most effective way that dumped a ungodly amount of money into the crypto space, because you bought into the ICO and then immediately the ICO launched and you were 5x, 10x, 15x up on your money in most coins when they immediately launched. Some of them went all the way down to zero immediately, so people who didn't sell immediately got burned, but a lot of the coins then flew up to be like, name brands in the space that were ICOs. And so you had this mass injection of liquidity combined with a halving. And now in 2017, 2016, people were like, oh, the halving is going to happen. Bitcoin might get up to like $6,000, and it got up to roughly $20,000. And looking back on it, we were all like, dang, how did that happen? Like all of our, that would, the equivalent of that today would be, you know, you have people saying Bitcoin's going to get to $200,000. That'd be like Bitcoin goes to $500,000 this cycle. Like that's how much of a miss there was between what the masses thought the top was going to be, what the top ultimately ended up being. The reason why is because you had the halving combined with the mass liquidity injection of ICOs. So that was why the bull run erupted then, and why it blew past people's, like everybody's expectations of what was going to happen. And then in the next bull run, ICOs were dead because the US couldn't participate in them anymore, and the SEC was starting to look really critically at ICO projects. And so the market moved away from ICOs. But what you had Tether print a ton of money throughout 2017 into 2020, increasing liquidity in the space. You had USDC enter, increasing liquidity into the space. You had Terra Luna, increasing liquidity with their stablecoin as well, and you had a handful of other stablecoins too. They were just printing. So you increased liquidity there. You combine that with a halving, and we also combined that with, oh gosh, how am I forgetting? Anyway, there was something else. I can't remember why.
Sure, but significant macro events in crypto.
Yeah, significant macro events in crypto, and people were excited from the institutions. Like, you know, Robinhood was getting in. A handful of things. People were like, oh, they're coming. It's going to happen. And I think we had, well, I forget when the initial filing of a spot Bitcoin ETF was, but I can't remember when it was. But the thing is that cycle actually underperformed. Everyone said we're going to hit 100K and hit like 68, 69K. 68, 69K. And the reason why that happened was because of Sam Bankman-Fried and the folks over at FTX were manipulating the market to kind of screw over what should have been the normal market run. Be careful with the word normal, but that's what happened in that cycle. And now we have the ETFs.
You know, it's interesting.
Fun fact, the first ETF application was filed by the Winklevoss twins in 2015. Right. The Winklevi. Do you have a tiny espresso?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I lived with a lot of Italians for a very long time.
I was gonna say, but the way you held it up and down real quick, I don't know. It was just the trick of the camera. It looked like it was about this big in your hand, like a little.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I lived in the north end of Boston for
I was just making sure that you weren't also secretly a giant.
Yeah. No.
Can we all see Will right now?
Proportionate.
Am I the only one that's still just looking at his PFP?
Oh, you can't see him? Oh no,
you can't see me?
See him, brother. We've been looking at his beautiful face this whole time.
Son of a bitch.
I have to make an aside to say that Alex said I'd love to have William on our show. I said that sounds great, and he was saying I really hadn't seen him on my For You page until recently. You've been creating content for a while, and I haven't seen you either.
Oh yeah.
It's just wild how, many colleagues we have in the space, and the algorithm usually is so good, but sometimes we don't see each other. But I do have to tell you that the very first time I saw one of your videos, I called Alex and I said, William looks like if Joshua Jake and Mac Lorden had a baby. And I just want you to know, man, you got the brain too, man. You've got original thoughts and perspectives, and it's not just a pretty face. So thank you so much for agreeing to join us. And I hope you don't mind the light ribbing. We do have a couple of questions about some other things. Do you want to take just to be good stewards of our audience and the folks who've been here for a minute, you want to take some rapid fire questions about this and that stuff?
Yeah, sure. I did see one comment, though, that I do want to address. And Brett, it was yours. So Brett's comment was, so is it best to buy lower priced coins for the halving to get bigger gains?
Great question.
This I think is a big misconception in the space because, and Brett, maybe I'm taking the words and understanding them incorrectly, but when you say lower price, I'm thinking like, oh, hey, there's a coin here that's $1, or a coin here that's 50 cents. That's a very common thing that people do. They're like, oh, this is 50 cents. It can go, people, I listen to this crypto influencer who says it's going to go up to $100. That sounds easy. Do not look at the price of the coin because it could be $1, but the market cap could be in the multiple billions of dollars, which means that in order for it to go from $1 to $100, that $1 billion market cap needs an additional $99 billion to get to $100 per coin. You are way better off looking for market cap size. Because if there's a coin that's $100 a coin, but it's a $10 million market cap, for it to get to $100, you need, oh God, math, way less.
Yeah.
You need way less, right? So I just wanted to address that, Brett, and sorry if I misunderstood your question and you were talking about market cap size, but I know it's a big misconception in the space, and it's potentially a dangerous one for your money.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we talk about it, we encounter it a lot with like the most common argument I see, Alex, is probably XRP. XRP is going to go to $1 million, $100, $10 even.
One thing, though, that I think is worth mentioning with regards to market cap, just because it is so often a grossly misrepresented number. We talked about this a little bit when we were doing the comparison between the importance of liquidity in something and the market cap of something. If you have a crypto, and this is, I recognize before I say that this is very unlikely, and this typically doesn't happen, but it is theoretically possible, so it is worth mentioning. The market cap is calculated, right, by the circulating supply multiplied by the current trading price of the asset. So you have something with 100 million tokens in circulation. It is trading at $1. You have $100 million market cap. There may not be $100 million. There won't be $100 million of liquidity floating around in there. So that is not to say that someone can own $100 million worth of something and sell it for that, right? We covered that pretty extensively. However, big if, let's say that that token supply is spread out, right? All of it is in circulation. It's all being held by a bunch of people. If we all came together, and in this scenario, no one trades anything to anybody, no one buys, no one sells anything, and we all collectively decided that we were not going to sell this for any less than $3, the market cap has technically tripled now because we have all assigned a new value of $3 to it, but no new money flowed into the thing. So market cap is, I don't know, I just don't put that much stock in it, because if like the demand for something goes up, you can actually see this happen in real time with the little meme coins. The second somebody realizes like this thing maybe isn't a rug and it has like a couple hours of staying power, you will start to see the market cap go up while the liquidity stays the same, and there's not very many trades happening. It's just because people are canceling sell orders or they're adding limit orders, and all of that data is kind of aggregating. So I just think that's an interesting point when you're considering market cap, that it doesn't literally mean exactly that, you know, X billion dollars needs to be purchased of the asset to increase the price, or sold conversely to lower it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And of course, you know, we talk about liquidity all the time when you're talking about very small tokens. If you're talking about meme coins, you want to buy something that has a chance to go up 1,000 times or might go to zero. Liquidity is definitely the most important metric. We've talked about that. If you can't take it out of the pot, is it really there? It's like, what is the sound of one hand clapping kind of thing, you know? Some of these questions that we got, I'm trying to scroll back to the top because I want to catch them all. One of them that I know we got is, we've talked about this on the show before. Do you want to give a thought about, we've had folks ask about a couple of particular cryptocurrencies, and so I'm just going to shout them out, and one person can give a thought. If you got extra questions. What I'd like to say is, what do you think about this? Is a question we don't tend to, it's not a helpful question for us. What do you think about XRP? What do you think about Quant? We can tell you what we think about it. A more helpful question for us is, if you can ask us something specific. Will Quant reach 1 billion users? Will the price of XRP go down? I don't know. We don't like to talk about price too much, but do you understand what I'm saying? Because what I think about Quant, what Alex thinks about Quant, what Will thinks about XRP, that'll reflect a very particular flavor of who we are as investors and individuals. And we want to help you become a savvier crypto navigator yourself. So the first one was, what do you think about Quant? And I would just simply say, I'm glad to field it. I would say it's been around a long time. It has a strong, robust community. It has an ambitious vision. I think it will be difficult for Quant and for many cryptocurrency tokens, the projects behind the tokens, to deliver on their vision unless and until they can decouple speculation from the product that they are working to ship. Anytime you have a cryptocurrency token that represents a company that has a utility it plans to bring to market. We're seeing this right now with the AI and gaming narratives play out, where the only way to invest in this AI company is to buy its token. And they also want to use this AI token to fund research or something like that. And in a scenario where this token is the only way to pay for research and the price of the token keeps doing this, nobody who wants to pay for research is going to use that token. They're going to use the dollar. In a world where XRP's price is volatile and everybody buying it thinks it might someday be used to settle cross-border payments, the United States of America does not want a volatile asset to settle its payments with. So Quant and other assets like it, if they're going to live up to, the squeeze, then they're probably going to have to do more to decouple speculation. That's my thought on Quant generally, and my thought on other stuff broadly. Could it be a good investment? Could it increase in value? Possibly. But will the company succeed in the long term and grow beyond where it is now? Because, it's pretty big now. That would be what I'd want to see. Mm-hmm. Thoughts to add, guys?
With Quant, I would say any coin that's an old coin has a lot of salty bag holders who bought at higher levels who are waiting to sell on you. So that coin, from a product standpoint, needs to do something pretty special to generate enough demand to eat through that supply waiting to sell on you. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to talk about that coin too, who have a bag, want the price to go up so they can sell on you, right? They want to turn you into exit liquidity. So there are a number of things there from just like an investment standpoint you should be careful of. Also, one of the reasons why Quant got popular along with a handful of other coins in 2023 was the trend of the ISO. I'm forgetting the name, but there was
ISO 2022. Yeah,
that was it. ISO 2022, and this was a trend that really blew up in popularity when he's no longer a crypto influencer. Thank all of our lucky stars. BitBoy Crypto, or whatever his name was, BitBoy, I think. And he was really, really pumping it. He had a huge audience. We won't talk about it anymore, but he really kind of took that trend and it exploded, right? And it ended up being a total dud. But Quant was included in it, and along with a number of other coins that really haven't performed very well at all. And so that's why Quant got a lot of people talking about it. A lot of people bought into it recently. But I just don't think it has enough going for it as compared to like other projects that you could be investing in, right? So those are my thoughts on Quant.
Alex, what was the token you brought up yesterday? Was it DAG? Because people say they're partnered with the Air Force, but what was your point?
So first of all, everything Will just said is a great point.
Super good point.
That was another one of the things we started to touch on last time is, and someone actually commented this earlier, was that we have a lot more, like, I hate to say longevity because it sounds good, staying power in coins and tokens that, by 2017 standards would have perished in the bear market, just because there's a lot more tribalism and a lot more like hardcore blind deference to these things now. So like Will said, you've got a lot of salty bag holders that keep the trash alive a lot longer than it normally would have stayed.
Can we put that on a t-shirt? Salty bag holder?
Keeping the trash alive. And then the back is just like a dumpster fire with like a couple of coins that no longer exist on it.
No, it's super interesting from an investment standpoint because I would love to get Ken's perspective on this because from where I sit, you don't see this anywhere near like we do in crypto in the stock market, right? Where like someone invests in something because they love it so much and so illogically, and they are just like willing to make it their entire personality, and it just becomes a way of life, and no matter what the data shows you, nothing is going to change their mind, right? Like you pick a currency and I promise you there is a blindly deferent community that will spit in the face of new data to tell you that it's the best project on earth. And when DAG started its like hype run, I had the exact same perception of it at that time, which is that this is an incredibly specific thing that is a piece of a trendy narrative, because at that point, the non-blockchain projects, the different types of like DAG, the different DAGs, honestly, they really hit it on the nose with the name there. was it Evan, directed acyclic graph, I think is what
I already forgot.
Anyway,
yeah, it's a
graph.
name for it. That's right.
Yeah, it's just a different way of organizing the data, right? But it ripped off, and then the trendy thing. I mean, if you went to the website, it was like a prominently featured thing that it was partnered with the Air Force. And Will, I would love your perspective, because as at the time someone who was active duty, hearing that like something is partnered with the military, it kind of gives you the same vibe as when you see something advertised that's a commercial product that says it's mil spec. Just kind of makes you chuckle inside, because like we get the cheapest shit you can possibly give us that is like going to do the bare minimum to like accomplish its job. So like something being mil spec to the everyday consumer is like, oh my God, it's literally the best thing on earth. And to us, we're like, this is the piece of shit I have to take into the field. Like a throat mic that gets, stops working when it gets wet being put on our rescue swimmers that we chuck out of a helicopter, right? Like stuff like that. So DAG just gave me that vibe that it was like, okay, we're going to use the military's name to get some hype and, trend some bullshit. This cryptocurrency absolutely doesn't need to exist. I cannot even fathom the use case in which, this is going to have real demand, regardless of whether or not the project does anything cool, because it might. But the project doing something cool and the token having demand and a use case are two very different things. They do not always coincide. So there's just a lot of projects that fit into that narrative. So DAG was a bad one. It's completely gone. VXV is another one that just made absolutely no sense. The project itself, awesome. You read the description, you're like, dude, this needs to exist. That's a badass service. I can see so many applications for that. Why the hell do we need a token? Oh, they're just raising money? That makes sense. However, then you need to recognize that the company who is making the money off the token is incredibly incentivized to sell it. And that's going to be their MO for making money, is dumping on you. So thanks for the exit liquidity, I guess.
That would also be a great t-shirt, just dumping on you.
Guys, we have a couple t-shirt ideas.
Like Quant on the back, yeah.
Yeah, you can launch a little business on Amazon. Yeah. But
listen, man, I got t-shirts for days, brother.
Yeah. On the topic of partnerships, though, most partnerships in the crypto space are total crap. I'd say 99% of them, they're just meant to kind of like hype up the coin. The Air Force example is a good one. Other ones where it's like all the, even like all of the partnerships that XRP or Ripple had. Ripple's different from XRP. That Ripple had, or companies they are working with in the finance space. One thing you should ask yourself is take a step back and look at the industry that they're in. The Air Force is a part of the DoD, Department of Defense. Financial institutions are obviously financial institutions. If anyone's saying they're working with hospitals or anything, that's in healthcare. All of these three are incredibly, heavily regulated industries.
Big time regulated.
Big time regulated. They cannot actually use whatever they want to use. And I know this personally because I've sold to Morgan Stanley, was an account of mine. I've sold to hospitals in Canada and several healthcare insurance. I work with pharma manufacturing companies today. And I've also worked and sold to the DoD in DC. They cannot buy everything. They cannot even use everything. And if they do buy something, what Morgan Stanley did is they would buy every single piece of technology they could ever get their hands on, but they would put it in their center of excellence, and it would never touch anything on the outside. They just
Please tell me that's a real name.
Yeah. What was that?
Please tell me that Center of Excellence is a real thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's a real thing. Also, the guy who runs it at Morgan Stanley, I won't say his name, but the first time I got on a call with him, his background was the Death Star, and his chair was the Emperor's chair. It was in Zoom, and I was like, oh, this guy's going to be the worst to work with. And he was the worst to work with.
That is one of the best things I've ever heard.
Yeah. They also had a name for themselves, which I don't think I can say. Like, I don't think I can say. They had a name for the people running the IT at Morgan Stanley. That was ridiculous. I'll tell you guys offline. But yeah, so when there are these partnership announcements with these heavily regulated industries, they're at the very base level, it's some kind of just marketing partnership, or they're stuck in some center of excellence area within IT, and they're not actually touching any of the things that's going to do what the marketers of that crypto say the partnership's going to do, right? It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. I honestly never even framed it in my head exactly that way, but now that you say it, Will, even if we were like going to change the brand of motor oil that went into one of the helicopters, we're talking like a 5-year process and so much paperwork and 17 different denials and all of the case studies that need to be done and the way that it affects performance and safety standards and whatever. So the idea of like adopting an entirely new like records management system, considering that at least for us, all of our maintenance records were still on pen and paper. It is kind of funny when you phrase it like that. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to keep some of these rapid fire questions going because we tend to get long of tooth and wind. But some of these are easy and quick, and I actually want to address one first. Somebody asked us about would we ever consider launching a meme coin, and if you are a watcher of the show, you would know that a few weeks back we were stuck in the meme coin casino. We were having some adventures, and we went through all the groundwork to show you how you could launch and how anybody on the internet could launch with ease their very own meme token. To make the point that most of these are absolute crap, to show you over the course of several episodes how most of them live less than an hour, how to spot scams and do all those kind of things. But the point I want to tell you here is, yes, we have thought about it, we have talked about it, but if ever we did it, we would do it illegally. We would do it legally. Most of the people you know are not talking to you helpfully about the legal risks. And some of them, the most notorious examples in our space on TikTok right now, are breaking the law. And so I want to be clear with you that if you are investing in a meme token because some influencer is telling you to buy it because it's going to go up in value, that is illegal. Yes. You probably don't have to worry about a cop showing up at your door, but you may have to worry about them being regulated and refunding you the cost at the time of launch. If you bought that token after it was already on the moon at $1 a coin, you may only get 0.000001 cents back. It will be delisted from markets and exchanges. You will not be able to sell it or trade it. And that person, the person who launched the meme coin and talked about it in that illegal way, is going to face significant penalties, millions of dollars in fines we have a precedent for, and probably some time in jail. So if you're thinking about launching a meme token, absolutely you can do it. Absolutely, it is legal, it's quick, and it can be really fun too. But number one, you got to talk to a lawyer. As an investor, I would just encourage you to stay away from projects that have face people who are giving any kind of undisclosed promotion, people who are making promises about the future value of that token. Honestly, as terrible as it sounds, use the token sniffer, the soul sniffer to spot scams early and invest in projects that just have a lame website. Like if you're going to play in the meme coin casino, don't hitch your wagon to an influencer's horse. Recipe for disaster.
Unless it's my horse, then you can do it.
The send Will to jail token. If it hits $1 million, we're calling the SEC.
No.
Yeah.
I'll be in El Salvador.
Everything you just said. There's a couple very specific things that you can do to break the law when you're talking about crypto. And my go-to like rule of thumb is if I find myself needing to preface something I'm about to say with "this is not financial advice," you probably just shouldn't say it in the first place, because I cannot wait. This is something Evan knows I've been dreaming about for years. The day that an influencer is in court and before a judge finally for the content that they post, and they say, "But Your Honor, I have #NFA in my TikTok bio," and obviously the judge is like, "Oh my God, sir, I'm so sorry. Please." Off you go. Home you go. Because that's bullshit and it doesn't mean anything. And my favorite thing to do is to go into those lives. Evan, I did it yesterday. You'd be proud I got blocked twice. I don't even have to watch it. You can hear 2 seconds of it and you kind of know what's going on. And I'm just like, I'm feeling particularly financially advised right now. And it's usually a pretty quick block. But the other really big one is if you do launch a token like that and you retain ownership of any of the supply, in addition to the fact that you are incentivizing people to purchase it because of perceived rise in value of your investment, straight up illegal, like hardcore illegal.
Bashista says, weird that if I draw 1,000 paintings and tell people to buy them because I think number go up, that's fine. But crypto,
Yeah. It's
I get it.
Ease of purchase, access to liquidity. all that kind of stuff. It is interesting, and it made for a very interesting legal debate in and around the topic of NFTs when those were coming out, because they are, more illiquid than a cryptocurrency, but much more liquid than, real paintings hanging in an art gallery, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A couple more rapid fire questions, and we can be quick on this. Alex, I want to field this one to you. Can you give me 30-second thoughts on the Gala Games ecosystem?
Sure. I think that they probably qualify a little bit as some salty bag holders, although they are moving forward. So there is movement, there's stuff. However, they are an older ecosystem, and they kind of launched token first and token heavy before they were able to demonstrate ecosystem viability with good games. There was also some controversy where they were faking player numbers pretty hard. There's a bunch of internal conflict between members of the team, which doesn't really mean anything, with regards to the project's value. But in the world of crypto, as we've seen, if you have influential figures who are, spearheading a project's forward progress and they have a bunch of drama, it can definitely hurt the price. And I honestly, as tapped into the gaming space as I am right now, and having all of the friends that I had who were at GDC the other week, I didn't hear shit about Gala. Avalanche dominated GDC this year, so much so that people who are not Web3 literate or aware were telling you that had you gone to GDC this year, you would have thought it was a Web3 conference. And for those
What did they tell us? What did Josh say that their booth said? Something. It was like a NFTs are a scam kind of flavor thing.
Huge rotating banner around the top of their area. It was not a booth. It was like a whole quadrant of the conference space.
Sector.
It just said Web3 gaming sucks.
Yeah. I was like, that is so brilliant.
Yeah, and then they had live demos. There was tons of games that were live on big consoles that you could walk up and play, and that right there was just more than I've seen from Gala in the last couple of years. But I do gather that there are more players in the Gala ecosystem now. They are putting out some more games, but I've always kind of got the vibe that the games are I don't want to say kitschy, but arcade style. It's not a game that's going to necessarily get a big Shrapnel. Go look at the people who are excited about Shrapnel on Twitter, and you get kind of baby Call of Duty vibes, right? The people that play a franchise, the GTA fans, Mass Effect fans, the whatever fans, that's a gaming ecosystem. But Spider Tanks doesn't have anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Good thoughts. Okay, Will. Next question is for you. For $1 million. Robbie wants to know what you think, if you have any thoughts about the proposed merger between Fetch AI, Singularity Net, and Ocean Protocol. You may have heard it talked about here on TikTok. It's kind of a trending topic as coming together under the banner Artificial Superintelligence. 3 companies into one, 3 tokens into one. It's waiting on more votes from the Fetch community now. They passed the first proposal pretty overwhelmingly. Do you have any thoughts about it, about the companies, about what they do, about the merger?
I think it's a good idea for those 3 companies because, the reason why they said they were doing it, but I'm really not bullish on it, honestly, myself. But I think it's a good idea for the 3 companies because they were like, hey, we can combine our different platforms. We can combine our resources, both in terms of people and technology, and have a more complete offering to try to compete with the likes of the NVIDIAs and Intels in the world who, you can't be a small little fish going up against one of those blue whales and expect to win. So from a competitive standpoint, the move made sense. But when I look at what Fetch, what Ocean, and what Singularity Net do, me being from the AI space, I look at it and I go, I don't care what any of these 3 projects do. I think they're both garbage in terms of what they do. Not garbage. Garbage is too harsh. But what they are trying to do isn't providing enough value. And if you combine
them, can you go deeper on that?
I can. I'd have to pull up my notes though, because I'm going to forget which one is Fetch, which one is Singularity, and which one is Ocean in terms of their capabilities.
No, that's okay. You can talk broadly and say these are the kinds of problems they're trying to solve and why you don't think they're valuable. That would be really helpful, I think.
Yeah, I can't even do that because I'm researching so many coins. I don't even have it straight in my head right now.
I get it.
I just know, like, this is just my take from it. So, I can't give you the details right now. Everyone who's watching, apologize. I made a video on it, but that was a while ago now at this point when the news first dropped. I don't remember. But I just remember looking at what each coin does, and I go, I don't see there being a ton of value here, even when you combine all of these, as compared to like a render. I see a render providing value. Let's and like Nosana and a project that will provide decentralized access to GPUs for data scientists to be able to go and use. I go, oh, as someone from the AI space, go genuinely useful in something that a NVIDIA or an Intel would struggle to provide because they are a centralized business model. That is something that is unique, that can make them competitive. And the other projects I was just looking at, I go, I don't see a NVIDIA being unable to provide these benefits themselves. And if you're trying to compete against a NVIDIA and an Intel, but I don't think you have a big differentiating factor that's going to give you the competitive edge against them, I don't see you accomplishing your goal. And if you don't accomplish your goal, I think when the bear market comes, you're one of those coins that goes to zero. And I think Render could be one of those coins that goes to zero too, which is a controversial statement because I love Render now too. But the thing is I do not believe that a crypto project can compete in a real way against a NVIDIA. NVIDIA, in my personal opinion, will find a way, because they have more money than God, to be competitive against what Render is offering. Render is great right now, but the Render community, when we get into the next bear market, they're going to be like the XRP army. They're going to be like the Dash community like a number of years ago, right? Of people who are like, no, this coin's a long-term investment. It's definitely gonna achieve that long-term goal, and it's most likely not. And that's not a fault of Render. That's not a fault of Render. They are a good project with a good team, trying their best, really trying to achieve it. It's just that the crypto space is penny stocks, and most penny stock companies fail, even if they try their best.
Can you give your you mentioned Render a couple times, and that's one we've gotten questions about that Evan and I are just straight up not read into. Can you kind of give like the TLDR on what it is, what they do, and what the value prop is?
Yeah, so the value prop is that they have the ability to offer a decentralized network of GPU or computing power. If you don't know what GPUs are, graphical processing. Oh gosh, the U. Anyway, whatever. It's just computational power, right? And so what you can do is you can add your GPUs, your computational power to this decentralized network of Render. In order to be able to access it, you need to be able to use Render itself. So what this does is we know that the AI trend globally, not in crypto, globally is expanding. But the thing is there aren't enough GPUs out there to facilitate the computational power needed to match the demand for growing AI models, because AI models require a ton of data. To churn through that data quickly, you need a ton of power. And there has been a GPU shortage ever since Bitcoin mining became a thing. Those kind of have like a one-on-one relationship also. And so there's a GPU shortage. So Render is actually offering a unique offering to a global need, which is, hey, if you want to provide your computational power to this overall network, even if it's a small amount, it helps. You can make money off of it. And it provides computational power that is easily accessible for data scientists and data analysts who need it, because there's a genuine need in the world. This is why Render has done so well. And then also their partnership with Apple, with Apple, at least the rumors of that, and Amazon, I think too. But there are like some corporate connections there with Render. And so there's a thought that Render could actually be a global solution to a real global problem, which is why it has done so well.
I think you bring up a couple of good points. One just kind of ties back to your comment about the what was it, the center of excellence or something?
Yeah, center of excellence.
Yeah. That's kind of the vibe that I get whenever I hear like an Apple or an Amazon partnership, like a Microsoft partnership. Like, these are not companies that are like looking for little companies to collab with. They're looking for little companies to absorb. And I just every time I hear that, like, so and so is partnering with Amazon, the first thought in my head is like, well, there goes that. That party's over. Because I imagine that Amazon has to have a center of excellence as well, and I'm sure Apple does too.
Well, the thing is with Amazon is Amazon has a very, very, very broad AWS partnership program. I have a friend who works in it, and I have a friend who heavily works with them on the partnership side. And the thing is they pretty much partner with anybody and everything. And so the thing is on the AWS partnership side, what they get is you get to have conversations with Amazon's partnership alliance team and try to find ways for both of you to build. But in reality, it's Amazon evaluating competition and seeing if it's somebody who they want to buy. But if that, and very, very rarely does someone who go into the AWS partnership program get out of that program as an actual partner. Typically, they either fail as a company because they're still a startup, or they get stuck in that AWS partnership because that's exactly where Amazon wants them.
Right.
And so Amazon's like, hey guys, who wants to be an AWS partner? And then you get to be like, hey, we're an Amazon partner. They get to use it for their marketing, but ultimately you get put under the thumb of Jeff Bezos.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the first things my dad commented on about just the expansion of Amazon's arsenal as from the perspective of an engineer. And for context, he is a 30+ year software engineer. And, he's like, nowadays, when you go to Amazon as a developer, it's kind of like walking into Costco as a hungry person. And their offerings are just so vast. It's like the warehouse that they put the Ark in at the end of Raiders.
Yeah.
Where it's just, and all of that stuff, none of it is like stuff that Amazon just sat down one day and built from scratch themselves. But rather it's like, a little lost puppy or a puppy looking for a home that they have now put in this giant warehouse, and that's where they are. So like they exist, but like you said, it's in Jeff's treasure trove of playthings, not so much an open marketplace. But
hey guys, I have time for one more question I can field, and then I got to hop off.
Sweet.
Okay, great. Then I'm gonna let you. I'm glad to let you pick. I can field one for you, or we can take a new one from the audience. What do you think?
Your show, field one, whatever you think. Unless there's something that.
What do you got, Alex? Do you have one, or I have several that I've written down from the audience here.
Yeah, there was a. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. I'm scrolling. What are the ones that you have written down right now?
Will's not on the clock or anything. I'm just kidding. And let me just say, while Alex is doing that, for the folks who said, where can I get more conversations like this? Alex and I are here every Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Will is joining us for the first time. We certainly hope he'll be back. We don't have a podcast. This is the podcast, but all of our episodes go straight to YouTube, so you can catch the replays there. And we talk about everything crypto. We do Web3 101, medium form, focused videos. And we have a totally free newsletter that you can sign up for right now at the link in my bio or Alex's bio. If you need any of those links and you're like, whoa, say it again, just go to theriseupmorningshow.com, theriseupmorningshow.com. And as far as the newsletter goes, I hate newsletters. So we made this one the best we could. Briefest bullet points, links from the previous week's show, so that if you don't have time to tune in, don't have time to watch a replay, you can just open your inbox one time a week, get it right there. Super helpful stuff. And if you have feedback for us, we want to hear it. Good jokes, questions, suggestions, words of wisdom, all of it. Alex, do you have a question?
There are a bunch of good ones that I do want to cover, but I think what's your list right now that might be?
Well, I had I definitely appreciated Will's thoughts on the AI merger. That was good. Yep. Someone asked thoughts about Litecoin being the most used for card payments. Thoughts generally on the narrative of decentralized science.
Oh, okay.
And will anything dethrone ETH in terms of DeFi? So what sounds interesting, and what do you want to talk about, Will?
I can hit on all three super quick.
Woo! All right, okay.
Hit it.
So, am I bullish on Litecoin? No, not in any way, shape, or form. Litecoin's an old coin. It's a dead coin. It was the silver to Bitcoin, which is a value prop that means absolutely nothing to nobody. And when it comes to card payment processing, though, the big thing you want to keep on is Solana, because Visa is testing Solana with stable coins. And it's another reason why XRP is totally dead too, because if Visa, once Fire Dancer happens on Solana, if Visa's testing on Solana for processing payments is successful, financial companies are just going to go and build their own stuff on Solana. So that's the Litecoin card payment processing, right? The second one, what was the second question again?
The second question was thoughts on the narrative of DeSci, decentralized science.
Yeah. It was cool to see, because that was the first trend I saw in early 2023 that started getting hot again, where I was like, oh, wait a second, this bear market, it's really starting to get over. Like some altcoins are starting to fly. I really like the idea of it because from working in the healthcare space or with healthcare companies, I know how hard it can be to get the regulatory approval to raise money. So having a decentralized way to raise money for more experimental projects just means that there's a higher likelihood of us getting better, medication and stuff like that. So I like it. I just don't know if a company has ties to decentralized funding, what negatives they're going to be hit with trying to bring that service into the highly regulated field. So I don't know enough there. So I have very big regulatory concerns of penalties that could be inflicted on companies that get their funding through these decentralized means. Because it's going to put a black stamp on them in the healthcare space of like how valid of a project or company this really is. Granted, if you have really good studies with really good results, that's a great thing, but it would never really be brought to market in the United States, at the very least, until it went through the regulated process. So I have regulatory concern questions around DeSci and how like real it could be, right? But I like the concept a lot. And then the third question, sorry, I'm going to have to ask you.
Third question is, will anything dethrone ETH when it comes to DeFi? Viable alternatives?
We're starting to see that now. I think Ethereum layer 2s will keep Ethereum alive for perpetuity. But you have like Jupiter, the decentralized exchange, is number 2 right now. And there are certain days where it has more volume than Uniswap. With Uniswap being sued too, you might have some people deciding to stop using Uniswap. I think it'll be a very, very small amount. And I think a lot of those people will end up going to Jupiter because Jupiter has the second largest amount of liquidity. And if you're using Uniswap, you're probably a big player, or at least there's a higher chance of you being a big whale, and you need liquidity in the DeFi space. So we're starting to see Solana start to overtake Ethereum a little bit, or at least they're the one closing the gap the most. So anything's possible, particularly with the Fire Dancer upgrade with Solana, if it is successful. But Base is gonna bring in millions.
Already has
Millions of users on chain, and they're making it super easy because Solana right now is the best experience from like fees and speeds, but Base chain has the easiest use and the best interfaces, and so both of those things are really, really powerful. But ease of use is what people really, really want. And if your fees are more expensive than Solana, but you're still paying a penny or two, I don't think anybody cares if you're paying 2, 3, 4 pennies or you're paying 0.4 pennies, right? No one cares at that point, it's pennies. So the ease of use is more important. So I think something like Base, if that's on Ethereum and other people don't have that ease of use, Ethereum can remain its title as king of DeFi.
Well, and hardcore DeFi users, they're all over the place anyway. I think a lot of them are using L2s, L3s, entirely different protocols. Okay, William, thank you for your time. Is there anything that you want to share, pitch, plug, ask our audience before you get out of here today?
Yeah, if you guys thought that I have good words coming out of my mouth, you can go and follow me and listen to more good words coming out of my mouth. That's it. But I hope you all have a great day and make a bunch of money, and that's it.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
All right. See you guys.
Bye for now, brother. Great. He had great words. And like Machiste said, I don't know if it's because he's standing next to Alex and Evan, but dang, Will is handsome. He's got the jaw. And he's got the brain. He's got the words. So good job, Alex, for making a friendship. And thank you, Will, for coming on our show. I definitely would love to have him back. That was a great conversation. A lot of people said that. They said, this is the best crypto conversation I've heard in a while.
I don't disagree.
The only thing that a lot of our conversations have been missing lately, I have to say, is that sounds like it should be a soundboard clip. And I really wish I had the soundboard. I think I still have, I think I could connect it. I'll have to try it and play. But soundboard Alex, man.
We got to get you a stream deck. And you can put it on your desk and, run it live. Then you don't need to worry about all of the hookups and stuff.
So I can say things like,
I will absolutely die on this hill.
Dude, that's all it takes. You can do it anyway.
I can do it from the computer, yeah. What can you invest in on base? Someone asked. Let's chase that thread for a second, and then I do still have. I took some notes on. We did get a flurry of questions. If you asked a question, Alex and I are both pretty good about this. We get long-winded sometimes, but we will answer your question. We love you for being here. What can you even buy on base? First of all, the most basic way, probably, Alex, for somebody to invest in base without even investing in base would be go buy Coinbase stock. Especially if you're not crypto friendly yet, but you want to speculate. Go ahead.
Literally, Coinbase stock, USDC, the stable coin, or Ethereum.
Honestly, easy. And you can buy Ethereum ETH on base. You can get a Coinbase wallet, just an email address. Like if you're a crypto friendly person, you can do it on Uniswap, do it a lot of other places. But if you're just new and you want to start learning about crypto, that would be a fun onboard route. Go to Coinbase, get an account, get some stable coin, USDC, something like that. Get a little bit of Ethereum on the base network, and then go play around on a site like Warpcast, where you can do all the things you do on social media, but also start to collect things as non-fungible tokens, or get an airdrop of fungible tokens, or earn degen for just being active and participating. A lot of stuff is happening on base right now, and it's because base is like an epicenter of attention for people who are crypto native and consumer focused. Their mission is to onboard like 1 billion users. And they're in conjunction with the Warpcast people who are building on base, who want to onboard 1 billion users. And crypto, the game, is happening on base. I mean, there's just an explosion of activity right now. And most of it is really not just developer friendly, but I would say quite user friendly. And it's sufficiently decentralized. It's really the best of both worlds. I'm so excited for like 5 years from now where we're going to be,
Yeah. I did want to cover one thing just briefly. I pulled up a good explanation because Will mentioned Fire Dancer a couple times, and that's definitely kind of been in and around the news. And I'm assuming that lots of people probably don't know what Fire Dancer is.
I don't.
And it's one of those things that's I've had like the point for a while. Okay, just not through Coinbase. Gotcha. Yeah, I should have read your entire comment there, Machiste. My bad. So here's a pro tip. If you have like a word or a phrase, or honestly even a project or something, and you're just trying to get like the TLDR and like kind of put it in perspective a little bit easier for you so that you can jump out and do some research. I do this every single time. Just use like ChatGPT or Gemini. It's not going to be the most perfect answer, but they will at least hit on like the buzzwords of it, and then they can give you kind of the definition of like what that is. So, what's the broad point of the Fire Dancer upgrade? Here is the Gemini answer. I've been using Gemini a lot more than ChatGPT because it's free and it's been doing just as well, if not better. That's just my opinion there on a LLM. But so Fire Dancer is a new type of software, a new validator client. Come back to that in a second. Specifically designed for Solana. It's a crucial component to verify transactions and maintain security. So off the bat, that sounds great because that's one of Solana's bigger struggles that we see, right?
Yeah, right. And somebody had asked about that. They're like, how is Solana going to scale if the network keeps going down? And our point is always that means people are using it. They're paying attention. I'm not worried about it.
No, I saw it phrased two different ways that I think encapsulated it perfectly. Solana is probably my biggest 180 in the crypto space because back in the day, I looked at it exclusively from like a tech offering standpoint, and the fact that like NFTs didn't have a universally recognized token standard just really upset me because it was easy to ruin on accident. You could just accidentally send your NFT to the wrong wallet, even on Solana, and it would just disappear because it wasn't recognized as the appropriate standard. A lot of advancements have been made there, obviously, but like, despite all of that, that's where the users are, and that's where they're doing stuff. Regardless, I mean, all you need to know is that like Solana is down here in the week, 23% on the 7-day, and that pretty appropriately puts it, I would say, average with everything else. And the network has been nearly unusable for more than a week. So projects with no network issues and nothing contributing to their drop in price except for the overall state of the market right now bleeding heavily. Solana is still exactly hanging with the pack, if not outperforming other stuff, despite all of that, just because of how many people acquire it to actually use it for stuff and who are enjoying the fact that they keep having new products launched despite them not working totally properly or whatever, which I just find very interesting. And then the couple engineers that I've heard talk about it basically just said, you know, if you are hating on Solana for this and that and the other thing, if your favorite blockchain got this much demand and usage, it would struggle as well. And we would start to see more and more issues like that because it just simply wasn't quite ready to handle all of that demand and the billions of dollars and whatever. So worth noting. But back to the fired answer real quick, then we can move on. So what does it do? Couple key improvements that it's looking to focus on: increasing the speed of throughput. So fired answer has the potential to process significantly more transactions per second, potentially exceeding 1 million per second during tests. I will add my own aside there to just say, like I always do with transactions per second, it's just like testing the miles per gallon on your car in neutral with the wind at its back rolling downhill. So just keep that in mind, that they're testing this under ideal scenarios. And even on Solana, you'll notice that there's like a breakdown in transaction structure. So like, for example, it's more expensive and harder to send an NFT to someone than a fungible token. It's also more expensive and slower to send it to them if they don't hold any of it already. So it's for Evan, Bonk. If I'm sending Bonk to Evan and he has some already, that's cheaper than if I were to send it to Evan and he doesn't have any. So just keep that in mind, that one transaction, it's not a one size fits all metric. Enhanced reliability, that sounds great because we're definitely struggling with that. Improved efficiency, great. Again, can potentially be an issue sometimes. Support for sharding, interesting. So that's probably another reason that it's trendy, because sharding is one of those age-old narratives in crypto as a great methodology for improving theoretical scalability. NA Clown, the issues on Solana, that's exactly what we're covering right now. Benefits, so obviously, all that stuff sounds great. So, in a nutshell, this is supposed to make it faster, make it more reliable, make it more efficient, and include new options for scalability. Whether or not that all works, we're going to simply have to wait and find out. We just don't know.
And I think it should be said again that this is an ongoing process. Just like Ethereum has all kinds of updates that are really active, this is a great sign that people are interested in Solana. And it's a response to the increase in volume. They had more volume than any other chain, more transactions. I mean, they were just putting everybody else to shame. So of course, I think it's a very healthy sign that they're reacting and responding to the stress their network saw. That's exactly what I would want to see.
Agreed. Yeah. I think it also just goes to speak a lot to the current desire of the onboarding masses in the crypto space, that there are different ways that these technologies work, and there are different reasons that people love them and care about them and want to see them succeed. And right now, the only thing that is demonstrating by dollar signs and by volume, because Solana had more than double the weekly volume of Ethereum 2 and 3 weeks ago, when everything was kind of ripping, we weren't crashed and memes were ripping and all that stuff. The thing that people care about more than anything right now is just user experience, and we are just barely getting to the point where large protocols and large ecosystems in and around the crypto space are making significant advancements in improving the user experience. And even now, it is still not what I would say where it needs to be to get true mass adoption. Because if I had someone who had never touched any crypto before come to me and say, I've heard about this crypto thing, how can I get involved? And I were to describe to them just the process right now of getting Ethereum into a MetaMask wallet so that they could buy something on Uniswap, think about how many steps that still includes, even if they are theoretically easy and someone who's been in and around the space could say like, oh dude, it's easy. Like to someone who's never touched it before, you gotta make a Coinbase account, KYC, fund the account, buy the ETH, make a MetaMask, back it up, make sure you don't lose it, send the ETH from Coinbase to MetaMask, which costs you more money. Then you have to connect it to a protocol, do the wallet transaction approval. Then you got to find the thing. Then you got to buy the, like, it's a lot of steps. And until we can see that more drastically reduced, I think we're going to kind of be where we are. But Solana is the one that's like making more headway on at least trying to improve that process.
Yeah.
So
Somebody said about ICP, once the devs are more exposed, but for any blockchain ecosystem, it's going to be attention that is generated by products people can use. That's why Base is exploding right now, because people can use Warpcast, because people are making frames, and the rate at which they are making and able to make new like the cost to make new products or to get on Web3 and start using them, the barrier to entry is so low there. And so more products are coming out at an exponential rate, which attracts more people. ICP, I love everything I know about the blockchain, about the community, about the things people want to build there. I think it's great. Awesome stuff. But where's the attention? What kind of products are they shipping? How are they talking about it? Story is everything. And if the story you're telling is, we are a gasless, whatever technical blockchain, my mom doesn't care about that. My mom wants to hang out with her friends. My mom wants to shop at businesses she supports, right? Where's that kind of stuff happening? We suck at that in this space, or we've been building the groundwork to get there, and like that's what we got to do,
And it's a great point. And for anyone curious, when we were originally shopping around for the builders grants to work on Shades of Sin, Definity through ICP was one of the first ones that I looked at because we had some connections. I know a number of different developers that were working there and working on it. And they all had very good things to say about the experience of like creating and building products on that ecosystem. And 100% in their defense, like when I spoke to Definity and I spoke to the grants department, like they were accommodating, good people. When I described like, my pipe dream of like what I want these different tokens to do, what I want the game to be able to offer someone with regards to, stuff offered on chain to users and stuff. There was a way to do pretty much everything that I wanted. There was some super incentivizing and tantalizing benefits to building over there, which was super appealing. And they just simply weren't interested really in offering a grant that would have met our needs, which is exclusively the only reason why we didn't pursue it. And and they straight up told us this, so no shade to them at all, that they just simply weren't really interested in funding games or pushing the gaming narrative right now because they were focused on other stuff, which totally fair. So we moved on. But it's always been in the back of my head because, like, for example, with our other platform, the social platform that we're building, Shoup, which does not have like a native token or anything, it's just like a place to be a community and talk to people and show off. ICP does have an interest in that, so there may be another conversation in our future with Definity with regards to potentially getting some source funding for Shoup, which would be really cool. And they've already got a couple of protocols like that, so it's a cool ass place, but it's not. They're straight up just not focusing on like an easy, comprehensive, good looking user interface and user experience the same way that Solana is, which is why they're going to definitely struggle to steal any market share from Solana, just because, I mean, Solana's got their own phone and they have an entire development department dedicated to mobile development. And they are exclusively working on putting like on-chain dApps into like the mobile ecosystem and the mobile interface. And a lot of these dApps are live. Like you can go use them right now. Whether they're good or not is beside the point. The point is that they're like operational and live. There's an email service. There's an instant message chat service. There is a large language model like GPT LLM service. There are payment services. There are There's a debit card service that's exclusively on chain using native Solana assets. Like, there's a ton of shit, and they may not all work and they may have problems, but the fact is that they exist and people are actively building them and they have attention, and they're like doing stuff. And Evan, last thing, and then I'll chill. One of the headlines that we were maybe going to cover earlier that I just kind of skipped over was that Cardano, the Cardano ecosystem, saw 1,000 new smart contracts written onto the network in the last 7 days.
That seems like a lot.
So the thing is that one of the reasons I picked that headline out is because it sounds like a lot. Just remember that launching a meme coin counts as a smart contract. Or
Charles Hoskinson shipping 1,000 updates just to prove a point.
Right. So exactly, that was my next point, that it's kind of like saying, because Polkadot consistently leads the crowd in GitHub commits. But for the record, like, the last GitHub push that we had for Shades of Sin accomplished almost nothing with regards to gameplay. It was just updating a bunch of visual assets and expanding the tile set for the map. And it was 4,000 GitHub commits to do that. So just remember that like, these are like flashy things and flashy numbers that are kind of a little bit meant to, like, hype and grab people who may not know exactly what a GitHub commit is or what a smart contract launch actually means. So keep that in mind. But my interesting point about it was just that it did absolutely nothing for Cardano's, like, adoption, price, attention.
Yeah.
No marketing was done. It was just like a stat that seems like it should have done something insane, and it did absolutely nothing. And I just think,
dude, it's like, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but there's an announcement from Multiverse X, another countdown. They're doing something in 23 days, and there was a post from a developer about, like, what have we been doing, and it was like, I don't know. It was a bunch of jargon that I don't know, that was supposed to sound impressive about, like, how their blockchain is cheaper and faster and more scalable. And I was like, but what have you done? Like, how can people use this? Why does it actually matter? Like, it's awesome to talk about theoretical physics. I absolutely love bandying about ideas, but, like, can I touch it?
Yeah.
I don't know. So somebody asked about render or near, and I wish I'd taken better notes. William earlier was speaking so cogently about render. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't have much of an opinion on it personally. I don't know if you do. I think near as a piece of infrastructure is interesting. Love the sharding. It gives me like Polkadot Multiverse X vibes, which I like that kind of infrastructure. I think it works well. I also think they made a really concerted marketing push in like 2022, early 23. What I have noticed is they don't have a lot of traction lately in terms of, I think they had some layoffs. Don't quote me on that. I might be misremembering. They seem to have slowed down the marketing machine. The impression I get in terms of like what is probably the story is they had a lot of money, tried to make a splash, and then they didn't catch the traction they hoped for, couldn't sustain it, and now maybe they're pulling back to build something new and try again. I don't see them shipping a ton. They seem developer focused versus consumer focused, which doesn't necessarily make me bearish, but when your Solana or when your base are your competition, and who are they talking to? The next billion users. I think Near has to get in that conversation if they want to capture the position that they market themselves as angling for. A lot of these blockchains would maybe do well to take a note from Sprint and be like, hey, we're cheaper than Verizon. You know what I mean? Like, acknowledge that, like, someone else is going to be the layer one blockchain or whatever. Like, we're at that point. We get it. It's composable. We still need you, Near. We still need you, ICP, but you don't have to be the one. Multiverse X, we love you, but you could just be Romania's payment processing blockchain solution. Like, that would be enough, guys.
Yeah.
Big money there.
Which,
what do you think?
No, I don't disagree at all. And I think back to one of my first live streams ever over 3 years ago now with a friend of mine, Sam, who sadly no longer makes content on TikTok, but he's a an old school Ethereum developer, like since the dawn of Ethereum, and was a dev long before that, but like moved to Solidity. And the first thing he said about like his perception of the future of blockchain was that, the dApps and the protocols and the interfaces were going to be the only thing that matters. And you're not even going to necessarily know which blockchain they are being hosted on, or they may be hopping from chain to chain depending on where you are, or depending on like what you are trying to do with it. So, for example, like you just said, if you were in Europe trying to process payments, you might end up using Multiverse X infrastructure. But if you were also in Europe and you were trying to play a new game, you might, on your phone, you might seamlessly port over and play or interface with a protocol that was touching the Avalanche, one of the Avalanche C chains or something like that. So yeah, I would agree. It's a lot like mobile networks competing. They don't really offer anything different, but they kind of like trade user incentives back and forth. And like maybe one of them takes one step ahead with respect to like one piece of tech. Maybe one of them got 5G first. Maybe one of them is going to get Wi-Fi 6 first, something like that. There's a question about Aptos. Aptos is exactly in that category for me too, right? Like so far as I've seen, I think it's the one that's made by like old DM developers, ex-Meta devs, which makes me think one that like anything that they launch is probably going to have a pretty clean UX and a UI because they're extremely used to pushing products to a gajillion users, which is definitely a good sign. However, I think they have a long road ahead of them because look at who their competition is and look how fresh they are, and they still have a lot of battle testing to go through, and they're young. So it's a really competitive market to enter. The layer 1, layer 0, layer 2, layer anything space. There's like a lot of competition there, and a lot of those people have billions of dollars. Bright side, real quick. Yes, Base Chain is the layer 2 Ethereum scaling solution built and maintained by Coinbase. They do not have a native token. So if you wanted to, get exposure to that, kind of like we were saying earlier, your best options are Coinbase stock in the actual company. I would also say that the use of the USDC stablecoin or just straight up Ethereum, because that's its primary gas.
And I'm sorry, Alex. I keep getting pinged over here. Were you talking about Aptos?
Just brief. Someone asked about Aptos, and I just
that's what I thought you said. I was going to say almost the exact same thing, except that it sounded like what I was going to say. I don't have too much of an opinion on it. I love anything you can stake that you have conviction in is a great way to have an asset, earn on the asset,
make it for you.
While you're waiting to see what's going to happen. I think that's a smart move. And I also think it's a good, don't make the mistake though of staking something until you double check the lockup period and the withdrawal fee, that kind of stuff. And if it's hot and volatile and you're not feeling so sure about it, don't stake it. I have more thoughts on that than I do on Aptos. I'm so sorry to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any more thoughts on Aptos. Just that, I've done very little reading into it, kind of just like what I would call the brochure.
Yeah, Sui is similar. They said, yeah, and I'm big on, anybody who's building infrastructure like is worth some of my time and attention and maybe some of my assets. Like in the last couple of years, I was like an L1 collector because all of them were building ambitious things that were going to support entire ecosystems, or they weren't, but it was going to play out over a long enough time frame that you could have, I don't know, I felt like I had more conviction and confidence than I often do when I'm in the meme coin casino. A meme coin might do 3x in an hour, but most of these were going to do 2 or 3x if you caught them early enough because they, had the marketing and attention or whatever. It's just going to take longer. I don't know. Alex, what do you think about? I wanted to ask, and when we asked William this, do you think, in terms of DeFi, do you feel the same way? That the question, I think it might have been you, Nick, who asked, will anything dethrone ETH in terms of DeFi? And my kind of answer was like, I almost feel like there is no, like ETH is not on the throne, except that the degenerates and the OGs, like we're so early, I almost feel like to DeFi. Liquid staking is big on ETH, But I just feel like, I don't know, Aave, Dai, everybody branching out, doing their own thing. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I really wanted to hear what you thought.
No, I would agree. The rapid fire answer to your question there, Ryan, is yes, Aave is an example of one of those places where you can do DeFi stuff on a ton of different blockchains. AAVE, Aave. I think it's just Aave.com, but I would check that one out. I think Aave is probably the Titan.
Aave is absolutely. Anybody I know who's like, although there is like kind of a rift in the DeFi community, some loyalists are diehards for Aave, and then there's another one. Is it Aave? I just listened to a whole great episode of the Unchained podcast that went deep on DeFi and over my head about Aave. I don't know if it was Aave who got permission, who got a grant. Somebody is like printing new stable coins, and they delisted their token from another competitive exchange, and it created this huge rift, and it might be like a monopoly. And I think Maker, that's right, Maker, Aave and Maker.
Gotcha.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was Aave who was like, our token will no longer, or Maker who said we're not going to support the Aave token anymore after they decided they would print to cover Athena. That's this new protocol, liquid staking derivative protocol. Everyone in the audience who's new is like, I'm sorry, what? Stay with me. We're getting deep. But, definitely there's so much room to grow for DeFi. And I honestly think it's going to be L2s. It's going to be other protocols that.
Yeah.
But I do like the incentive of proof of stake blockchains. Like the idea is when everybody has to participate by locking up some of their own money, it's less likely that any one of us is going to do something adversarial or nefarious because we don't want to lose the money we have at stake. It's a strong thing,
No, I would agree too with your point that I would honestly not call. Actually, you know what? We don't even have to make a call. We can just look it up. I'm going to say my suspicion is that you are probably correct, that I don't know if I would confidently say that Ethereum is on the throne of DeFi right now.
The throne of DeFi sounds like a Twitter handle for somebody who sells tweets for like $2,000 a pop and has 150,000 followers and posts tweets that say like, I only buy charts like this or something, The throne of DeFi.
So I guess we would have to define throne.
A chair that is higher than the other chairs around it, or elevated on a stage, or occupied by a king.
What would your all right, you smart ass. What metric, Evan, would you say is like your
TVL
metric, the metric that would place? Okay, then Ethereum, and it's not even close.
Okay, my second metric would be if we could figure out like users.
So for anyone who wants to do some of this reading by themselves, and I need to do a video on this and a couple other like research tools later today because this is one of the best. DeFi Llama, DeFi LL.
DeFi Llama is a killer tool. We should put them in the newsletter.
DeFi Llama. So Ethereum's TVL is just shy of $50 billion.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective, the next closest is Evan. Any guesses?
No.
Throw a dart.
BNB.
Nope. They are third.
Okay. I have absolutely no idea. Solana?
It's Tron.
Tron. Oh, you know what? I knew that. I think I knew that. Again, Unchained, Laura Shin, somebody was talking about Tron DeFi. Apparently it's big.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Not me.
However, compared to Ethereum's TVL, Tron's TVL is 8.6 billion.
Yeah, so significantly farther.
49.1 billion to 8.6 at the second place.
Wow.
And then you've got the Binance Smart Chain at 5.1, Solana at 3.5, Arbitrum at 2 3/4, Avalanche at 1.5, Base at just shy of 1.5.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm impressed by Arbitrum and Base, honestly. More so Base for catching that in that kind of time frame.
Blast is just behind Base by like a couple, by tens of millions, by $50 million. They are behind.
But like I said, I guess I'm not surprised. Okay, so you got Aave, you got Maker, you got all the names I would recognize in DeFi on Ethereum, but I recognize them. I know they're like ERC20, but I recognize Aave as like almost the way I think of Blast. Blast is an L2, Arbitrum's an L2, Base is an L2. It's all Ethereum. Mm-hmm. But like I, in my mind, make the distinction. Maybe it's unhelpful. I don't know. Somebody, can Chris Dixon please do something and tell me, is that an unhelpful distinction? Oh man, fudge. You know what? I should have asked Will. Chris Dixon this weekend, he might be gone now, was at the blockchain conference that's in Boston signing copies of Read Write Own. And I just want to shake that man's hand.
Well,
the only way our show could get more handsome than if Will joined, and maybe if Mac joined, is if Chris Dixon also joined. Chris Dixon is a handsome man. He's too handsome to work in tech. Way too handsome.
I mean, that's where we're shooting, right? To get to the point where we can put people like that on the show. So
okay. We got a question I absolutely need to answer, though. The only thing I'll detract from Chris Dixon is this one. Is Poodle Inu a scam? Just based on the name, Alex. Flip a coin. Is Poodle Inu a scam?
Yes.
Yeah, that's about how it is. If you wanted to know if Poodle Inu was a scam, what would you do?
Well, so first of all, based on the name, I would say comfortably it has a 49.5% chance of being a scam and a 49.5% chance of just being trash and a 1% chance. No, 1% is too generous. Anyway, I would sniff that token, Evan. And I would, well, first of all, I need to know what chain it's on to determine which tool we're going to use.
Tell us what chain it's on, and we will give you a magic trick to determine with more certainty whether or not it's worth time and attention. The best thing about scams in this space is they are 100% avoidable. There's a lot of verification you can do. And at the end of it all, if you don't feel confident, just don't buy it. Yeah. You're not going to miss generational wealth because you didn't buy Poodle Inu. Even if it goes to the moon, there will be Poodle with hat, Poodle from Costco, Poodle on base, but blue.
Nick, that's a very interesting discussion that I think we should come back to because my answer to that is a little bit longer.
Yeah, Nick, you're asking a lot of really good questions today, and so I want to say to you, I'm sorry if we don't get to all of them, because a lot of them are brain teasers. You asked about Microsoft and Apple, and I was like, frankly. I didn't mean to ignore you, but let me tell you frankly, I don't know that I'm qualified to sit down and without analyzing tell you who I think has a better roadmap. I'm bullish on both companies at this point in time.
I missed that question. Sorry about that.
Were you responding to his sufficiently decentralized question?
Yes. And then real quick, just so Amsfar asked about Justin Sun and Tron. Aren't they looking at lawsuits? Dude, this is one of the weirdest things in crypto that I, to this day, cannot understand and cannot explain. And I'm saying this with the experience of attending double digits of crypto events and conferences over the last 3 years. Tron always has a massive presence and no one can explain why. Like, you get to NFT NYC and it's NFT NYC. Does anyone think of Tron when they think of NFTs? Because I sure as shit don't. But you get to the conference center and it's like a multi-level conference building with like 15 stories of conference. And every story has like another booth from another thing. And there's like 30 booths per floor. And then you get to this floor where all of the lights are red and there's banners everywhere. And there's like 150 people in Tron shirts with Tron merch. There's like a walking around mascot NFL style with the Tron logo. And they've got so much presence. It's insane. And you go walk around and you can't figure out what they're really doing there. There's like nothing there on the tables. There's just t-shirts and vibes. And that's like the entire presence at the conference. They're not giving presentations. They're not giving product demos. They're not doing anything except being there and being Tron. And it's so weird. And I'll never understand exactly what the deal is, but they're still here. Despite all the controversy, they're still just like crushing it. And it's either all fake, like it's the big conspiracy theory of the space that, like, you know, I mean, who knows? I don't know. I wish that I could tell you what the deal is with Tron. I wish so badly that I could answer that question, but I can't.
Yeah, I think that would be a great meme token. Justin's son's money.
Yeah, or just Tron question mark.
Yeah, Tron. Do you know anything about Flare? We had a question about that one too, and I figured it would probably be a quick one if you knew about it. I don't know that I know about Flare. I'm not hip to it.
I know what it is, but I couldn't tell you anything educated about it. I'd have to do a little digging. Is Flare is the Ripple thing, right?
Flare.network, according to their website, is the blockchain for data. An EVM-based layer 1, so I don't think it's affiliated with Ripple necessarily, which gives access to high-integrity data. Sounds like they could be a covalent competitor. Yeah. High-integrity data, from other chains and the internet, so it might be an Oracle play.
Well, covalent is an API aggregator.
Well, and I'm not sure, this might also be that. 2 native data acquisition protocols, which sounds like aggregator by another name. They aggregate decentralized price data, so they do have an Oracle, and they have a state connector, which enables information from one blockchain and the other to the internet to be used trustlessly and securely with smart contracts on Flare. I mean, that sounds like a really important piece of infrastructure. Their website is interesting. It's developer focused. I'd be curious to know what their token was for. And my thoughts probably would be that it'd be interesting to speculate on in the short term, but whether or not they build a great product is going to depend on whether or not they become a great company. And the token is worth anything in the long run. That's kind of what I would feel like. Ooh, and the website is making my computer go.
Sam Bankman getting 25 years in prison. Thoughts? Good riddance. However,
I almost wanted to talk about that on the show the other day, but after it went off the radio in the car, I completely forgot about it, if I'm being honest.
No, how my I guess my like semi hot take, and it does pain me. You should all know that it does make me taste a little bit of bile to say this out loud. I'm seeing so much stuff online about how 25 years is like him getting off easy. I just want us all to like at least acknowledge and admit that 25 years in prison is a long ass time. Okay. Can we just agree to stop saying 25 years in prison as if it's like a slap on the wrist, even though he was allegedly like, you know, up for a significantly longer prison sentence? Like 25 years is a very long time. And that's not at all to say anything in support of that absolute con artist.
Yeah, I think we can agree that people like Sam Bankman-Fried should be held accountable and brought to justice, and agree that our particular criminal justice system is absolutely wrecked. Like, it's not doing us any favors. It's costing me money. He's probably still got an iPhone in jail, so he's, you know, doing pretty much whatever he wants to do anyway. He could probably launch smart contracts from wherever he is and play, what was his game of choice? I don't know. You know, he's like honestly probably doing, it's not solving any of the problems. And it does seem like they have made a lot of the people who lost money whole. Which is good. That's important. I feel like, you know, a better solution would be, how can we cheaply and effectively make sure he doesn't do what he did again?
Yeah,
I don't know if prison's going to be the place.
I was going to say I'm a lot. I mean, in general, has nothing to do with crypto. I will keep it very short because this is a whole thing. I am not a general supporter of just raw prison with regards to like how we treat different crimes, right? Like there is a tremendous, overwhelming amount of data to suggest that just sending people to prison really doesn't do very much to curb crime. And honestly, it typically incentivizes further crime.
Right.
Because we effectively end their viability as a functioning member of society post-prison, no matter what they went for, and we take away almost all of their options. I would be way more interested in like forcing Sam Bankman-Fried to work like an absolutely minimum wage job for the next 25 years than I would rather see him like have to work in customer service in retail or something, and live in a single wide for the next 25 years, while only being allowed to use a track phone from Walmart and being forced to survive on like whatever the poverty line wage is. And that would be a way more fitting punishment, because that's like forcing him to sit in the position of a lot of the people that he ripped off and lied to and scammed and promised the moon and then took them for everything that they were worth. Like putting him in a prison cell where he has access to the internet and a whole bunch of people that, you know, are probably incentivized to like be nice to him and support him because he allegedly has a lot of money still, or, you know, whatever. Like, that's not going to do that much. He's going to like, it's probably it's white collar prison too, you know, so it's not like he's, anyway, I'll leave it at that. Prison's not the answer to every single crime.
Yeah, I agree completely. Somebody has asked us twice, what's going on with Veracity? Even before this dip, it was crashing hard. And the fact that you asked us twice, thank you for your question, and thank you for being here.
Sorry,
makes me wonder if you are really concerned about it. And if you are really concerned about it, I would say that more than anything, Alex or I could tell you, is a good indicator that you may be over-leveraged if you're invested in it. If not with your capital financial, then with your capital attention. There are so many tokens out there that if Veracity absolutely goes to zero, it should not affect you. Be water, my friend. I honestly don't know enough about Veracity to give you my personal opinion on like the fundamentals of that project. I could look it up if Alex doesn't. What do you think, Alex?
No, I don't, but let's see here's an example of just using Gemini to ask. So the prompt that I always give it is the exact same thing. Give me a broad overview of the whatever ecosystem.
Thanks for clarifying, Sam. They said, looking to invest, but was wondering if there was FUD. No FUD here, but let's find out. The FUD Finder.
Okay, so the headline that it gives me is Veracity VRA Ecosystem, bringing trust to digital advertising.
VRA. I feel like that was, am I wrong? Is that one that Joshua Jake has talked about a lot and had like a big like TikTok hype cycle afterwards?
I find it personally difficult to keep up with all of the projects that Joshua Jake tells me to buy. So I'm not positive that I can say yes or no to that question.
Sure.
But I will say that I am efficiently hooked from the headline, and I'm incentivized to read further because I think that using blockchain in marketing and advertising is a huge win, and I'm instantly intrigued by any proposed application of that, because that is what the data play in and around targeted advertising, just fun fact for all of you, is one of like my most favorite crypto narratives. That is probably a horrible investment in the long term, but I think is easily one of the coolest uses for the technology. Where are we from? If you're from Atlanta, I'm only a few hours away. I'm from Savannah.
Is VRA, is it one of those like buy a basket of data plays? I'm looking to, hang on.
That I don't know. So I actually really like how Gemini broke down this answer. So
tell me more about what Gemini did, because this, every time we talk about Gemini, you're pitching me, and I still haven't quit GPT yet. And honestly, it's because I got too many other things going on. But I'm ready, man. I'm telling you right now, at this stage in both of those products, it's worth it to quit GPT and go to Gemini. And dude, go, like, if you want another reason, go watch Google's presentation in the last day or two about the advancements to the next wave of Gemini. Like, it will blow your fucking mind. All right. Okay. All right. You sold me.
Sorry for cussing. Sketch shout out. All right. So they give me the headline. They give me a single sentence explainer of what the thing is, and then they highlight the problem, their proposed solution to the problem, what their products in the ecosystem are, what the theoretical benefits of those products are, an overview of the tokenomics, the current status of the project, an important note, and then an overall assessment. And it's all separated and formatted. And it's awesome.
I like that.
I haven't read it yet, but the way that it's organized is perfect. I love it so much. So big win to Gemini there. So Veracity is a blockchain-based ecosystem aiming to revolutionize the online advertising industry by tackling issues like ad fraud and inefficiency. They've hit a couple of my favorite buzzwords right there. Ad fraud and inefficiency for the most part. My whole value prop to like people and companies when I'm like talking about a product I would love to build is that you can use blockchain to significantly lower your customer acquisition costs. And I could prove that. Okay, problem. Veracity addresses a significant problem of ad fraud in the digital advertisement space. Fraudulent clicks and fake views inflate the costs for advertisers and decrease revenue for publishers. That's cool. Dude, watch me just be totally sold on this thing the second I'm done. Solution. Veracity's solution centers around its patented proof of view technology. POV verifies if an ad was genuinely viewed by a human user, ensuring transparency and reducing ad fraud. I'm very curious to see how they do that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
They
also have proof of play. So they're targeting people who are watching videos and people who are playing games.
Yeah. Lisa, we've been live for 2 hours. Couldn't tell you. Although TikTok sometimes does us real dirty and doesn't send the notification or doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. I promise. I've seen some really good questions come in about like Tau and CAS and top alts and another CAS, but not ignoring you. Just finishing this thought. Key product. So they've got Vera Views and Vera Wallet. The wallet seems like it's probably pretty straightforward. It's a secure wallet for storing, staking, and earning VRA tokens. Okay, so this is my number one question going into this is like, okay, I'm totally sold already on the value prop, but I don't understand why I need a token for it.
The token is used to is to speculate and to reward people in the ecosystem. So if I'm proof of view, then I get a reward. If somebody uses my data to advertise to me, I get a reward. So people can speculate with this token and they can be incentivized to participate with it. That to me is like an orange flag.
Orange? Okay, I want to hear why it's an orange flag, because on its face, that sounds like a token model that at least makes some sense to me as to like why it should exist.
Yeah, but here's my thing. Okay, and I'm looking at the roadmap. While you're looking at that, I'm also looking at the roadmap. Been around since 2017. Ambitious. Started with the video viewer proof of view thing. That's a big problem to solve. How do we prove it's humans, not bots? Love it. But just looking through their roadmap, I don't like when one token does everything. You know that about me. I just hate it when you have one token, it's a liquid token, and it does everything. I don't think that's the most effective model. The second thing that makes me not like it is I feel like they're trying to be everything all at once. If it was just like a proof of view and they nailed that concept and everyone everywhere was using it, YouTube and everybody else, I'd be so bullish. But they've got an NFT marketplace, they've got a wallet, they've got games that they've launched, they've done esports tournaments, like you name it, they've done it. And obviously they're very well funded. And maybe they can be an ecosystem that captures it all. I just feel like the more problems you try to solve, the less likely you are to solve any one of them super effectively. And if they've been around since 2017, like that's on one hand bullish, they're not going anywhere. But on the other hand, I'm like, are you just going to keep doing new stuff kind of thing? Is it going to pay off if I'm looking as an investor? I don't know though.
So the ability to like flex and pivot a business model that's not doing well is a good thing.
I don't get the sense that they're pivoting because they're not doing well. I get the sense that they're stepping to scale earlier than I personally would like. Because like this proof of view thing, like you were just saying, and like I'm reading here, that sounds revolutionary. Everyone in social media right now is trying to solve the bot problem.
Yeah.
Big problem. Why not just like double and triple and quadruple down on that? I feel like.
That's the, so I mean, so VRA in that case, like you said, becomes the speculative play on whether or not they will achieve, success with that goal, with their roadmap there. And like, will they actually solve the problem? Will the service get picked up? However, if I'm a company like Twitter or Meta that decides, for whatever reason, even though I don't see either of those companies doing something, maybe Twitter a little bit more likely than Meta, but like if I'm the Meta representative that calls the chief of product over at Veracity and wants to propose like using that as a service to cut down on our bot problem, I don't want to like have to buy a bunch of their token to do it. I want to like subscribe to a white glove service that they can plug into my platform and do their own thing. Like I don't necessarily need the token to do it.
Right.
Which is the same reason that I don't like VXV as a token, because even though there is demand for Vector Space's product, all of the companies who are interested in it are just buying it with US dollars because that's an option that Vector Space offers because they're not stupid. And no one has any reason to get the VXV token. So like right off and I will be the first to admit too that I'm hypercritical of people launching tokens because I don't think most of them need to exist. And I would way rather see like a decentralized service offering using a blockchain that's built on a supported and bustling ecosystem that I can then invest in the stock of the company who owns that product or patent or whatever, just because that makes a little bit more sense to me for most of these things. Just when I'm like struggling to find out like, okay, but as a user or as a business, why do I need to acquire more of the token? Like Solana, right? Like the last time I bought Solana had nothing to do with me being like, this is a great entry price for Solana. I would like to buy it so I can sell it at 200 again. It was like, I want to sign up for this thing and I don't have any free soul. So I need to buy one more soul right now so that I can like participate in this. Like I bought it because I needed it.
Yeah.
And that is like proof of use, like proof of value right there for me.
Agreed.
So I guess that's probably based on this. That's my overall synopsis.
And you'd look further.
I would 100% look further because this is a problem that needs to get solved. It's a problem I'm personally interested in solving. I think the value proposal here is immense, and the theoretical payoff for being the one that solves this is huge. I just don't know how I feel about the longevity of the token. That's it.
Before I invested money in it, I'm not so interested in it. I probably wouldn't research it further because I'm lean on time kind of thing. And if I was going to, before I bought, I would look at who are their competitors, because they certainly have competitors. This is a big problem. Lots of people are trying to solve it. Does it have to be blockchain? Yes. I would do a deeper dive on the tokenomics to really understand, do the incentives align with what they're trying to do? And then I would probably, do like the Twitter check, the look at the token for the last, 6 months or something, stuff like that. I like to set it and forget it, or go to the meme coin casino and be playing for an hour and then cash out. I just don't like to hold anything long term unless I'm like really got a solid plan for it.
No, I agree completely.
What do you say? You want to do a couple more rapid fire questions and then call it for the day? I am almost coming up to the point where I got to go.
Yes. Let's we can pick up a lot of this tomorrow because we don't have time to hit every single question, but I do want to thank copiously everybody for leaving all of these questions, because
great question.
You guys have been so engaged and so involved with us on this show that Evan and I have completely abandoned the having to come up with a plan, because like we just know that the chat is going to lead us in like down a bunch of very interesting rabbit holes. So I really appreciate it because you guys make our jobs so much easier.
Yeah, me too. I super appreciate it. Somebody asked, what makes us invest in a project? And I can answer that one really briefly and would love to hear what you say. All the things I said that I would look at, the number one thing is like, is it clear the mission and the vision? Are they creating a product that has purpose, and or are they telling a great story? If it's a meme coin, there's no product. The story is the product. No data, just vibes. Is it a meme of the moment? If it's not a traditional like Bitcoin-esque investment, then I'm looking maybe at something like Crypto the Game. Is it worth my time to play a game that cost me $300 of Ethereum to potentially win, but probably not a lot more? Maybe if I'm going to meet developers from Base and Coinbase and A16Z and Uniswap, and every one of them is going to know, like, and trust me more than they did when the game started, that's worth $300 and 10 days of my time. Absolutely. Those kind of things are the things I look for and the things I ask. Mostly I focus beyond monetary capital. You know, I have monetary capital plays, but the transformative potential of this space, it's true for your money and for everything else. Alex said it about the meme coin casino. There's no place else on earth you can turn $1 into $30 in like 20 minutes, but the meme coin casino. And there's nowhere else that you can, you know, be hanging out with your friends and, you know, create a startup company that gets traction with people from all over the world, or launch a product that has never been thought of until this moment, quite the way there is in cryptocurrency, in Web3 blockchain.
Yeah, my analysis on whether or not I'm interested in buying into something is exactly how I kind of laid out my final perception of VRA. There is my list of questions. I should write this down because I've never made this specific video actually, which is insane.
Write it down.
I'm gonna write it down, or it will fall right out of my head and I will lose it forever. So I would ask myself, is this actually a problem? So like, is every company is supposed to be solving a problem with a product. So like, does the problem actually exist? Is it actually a problem that like people are looking for a solution to? Does their solution make sense?
That's an important question.
What's the value of the token? All of this centers around like the token itself, right? Like I said, when I was originally looking at vector space and VXV, instantly I was like, oh, I'm so into this. The idea of using large scale AI to track weather patterns for years leading up to catastrophic events and trying to extrapolate a pattern that could be used to predict future catastrophic events with more warning time than we have ever seen in human history. Everyone on Earth should be able to instantly recognize how that would be an incredible use of AI as a technology. However, at the end of the day, there was absolutely no reason for the token to exist, so it was a miss. It was it was a pass for me. Not that it couldn't pump, but just that I didn't want to pay that close of attention to it. I would rather invest in Vector Space as a company with stock. And no, Kai, neither one of us are devs. We just, like exactly what Evan said, we just know a lot of them.
We know them and we know the tools to use to make up for it for the most part. I'm about to launch a contract on PartyDAO, for example, so that I can, you know, crowdfund and democratize a vote for a thing.
For a thing. And Kai, I recognize your question about both CAS and Tau. If you're going to be around, we can definitely cover them more tomorrow. But in a nutshell, like just to give you the framework, the same exact way that I just went through VRA, that's exactly what I would do for both of those because I don't know very much about them. So I would ask Gemini to use the same format it just used for VRA and write me an overview for both of those projects. And then I would ask myself that framework question.
Yeah, and like Tau, I know a little bit about. I think they're both worth looking into. They're both modeled after Bitcoin. They both have a lot of attention. They both aim to solve really interesting problems. I could apply Alex's question to both those projects, knowing just what's falling out of my head, and I think they'd pique my interest to look more. Absolutely.
In answer to the question about buying Solana now versus waiting for the halving, I'm not concerned so much about the exact date and time of the halving when it comes to getting something for me like Solana, because the reason I'm interested in getting more Solana is not just because I think it's a better investment because of how many users and how many things are being built, and how despite all of the issues over there, like there are still people who are using it every single day. It would just be, like, do I need more to do more stuff because I'm interested in more stuff? And then, just like kind of the state of the market. So what I do know is that like 4 weeks ago, it was $200 and now it's $130. And just given like, the way that these things typically work, that seems like it's probably a good opportunity. So I've personally added a little bit. The only thing I purchased on this big crash was actually degen because I needed it to use Warpcast more appropriately.
Yeah, because you're going to use it.
Yeah, I bought it because I wanted to use it on Warpcast to tip my friends, and I wanted to play in that pool. It actually had nothing to do with the investment potential. And then I bought Solana because of the exact stuff I just said, because I wanted to use it for stuff. And I would like to stake some of it because I hate that I have it and I'm using it, but I'm not earning any interest on it. So I got a little bit extra so that I could stake some. And then I would have, if I wasn't comfortable with how much Avalanche I had, I probably would have added a little bit of that too, just because the price is way better than it was a month ago. And I'm actively using it to try to like get ready to play some of the games that are coming out that I would like to try, like Shrapnel and stuff like that. And then,
should we have Bitcoin in our bags, Alex? Real quick. Yeah, definitely.
It's my second biggest holding.
Bitcoin is the bag. It is the bag.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm right there with you, Kai. I am kicking myself so hard. One of the hardest kicks I've given to myself is not looking at Sol at $8 and making the same like use case assessment that I just made and thinking how insane it is that it's $8.
Yeah, I said to myself, during our bear market, I didn't have a lot of capital to deploy that wasn't going to groceries and things like that. And I said to myself, you know what, this is going to go on a lot longer. I have time. I'll be able to accumulate. And then, it's always a good time to dollar cost average into investments you have conviction in, I think. But I was really not investing at that time. And what a fool. I should have taken $8 and paid my future self $200. Like, what's that? That's a pack of cigarettes. Can you believe? Let me just tell you how many cigarettes I could have not bought and Solana tokens I could have bought instead. Enough in that very short but still viable time period that it would have made a difference.
100%.
So
anyway, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.
That's right.
Evan, I'm personally pretty well met.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm so well met. If you're here for the first time, we want to thank you. If you're coming back, we want to thank you. Be sure, give us a follow. Join us Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're right here. That's 12 p.m. UTC. We're here every week, all the time. Sometimes we have folks like William. Sometimes we have interviews with like the arcade team, all that stuff to try and help people at all levels of experience understand crypto. And if you want more like this, then the things I would ask you to do are sign up for the newsletter and follow us on YouTube. You can catch all the links at theriseupmorningshow.com. theriseupmorningshow.com. It's super brief, super easy. We've also got a free Discord community there you can join where you can ask other questions. We just want to help you. As we say, rise up, tell a better story, have a better future, and stay safe while you're doing it, That's it, man. Until next time, my friends, thank you, and rise up.